For 3 years, Joanne did everything right. She walked every morning, 40 minutes, the same route, rain or shine. She watched what she ate. She took her vitamins. She went to her checkups and came home with clean results every time. And her legs kept getting weaker, not dramatically, not in a way that showed up anywhere. Just a slow, quiet, deeply confusing decline in a body that was doing everything it was supposed to do and still losing ground. It would take a physical therapist, a specific test, and a word Joanne had never heard before to finally explain what 40 minutes of walking every morning had been unable to prevent. I want to ask you something that most people in their 60s have never been asked. Are you active and still losing strength in your legs? Not sedentary, not inactive. Not someone who sits all day and wonders why their legs are weak, but someone who moves, who walks, who makes the effort, and still notices that the legs that carried them confidently 5 years ago are somehow less reliable today. If that describes you, here is the thing that most people never hear, and that most doctors never explain in a standard appointment. Walking, on its own, is not enough to prevent the specific type of muscle loss that begins in your legs after 60. Not because walking is wrong. Walking is essential, but because the muscle fibers that determine whether your legs feel strong and trustworthy, whether they catch you when you stumble, push you up from a chair, carry you up a flight of stairs without negotiation, those fibers respond to a different kind of stimulus than a morning walk provides. And when they don't receive that stimulus consistently, they begin to disappear, quietly, measurably, even in the body of someone who walks 40 minutes every single morning. Joanne walked every day for 3 years while that process was happening. Nobody told her. And by the time someone did, the gap between where she was and where she should have been was larger than she expected. Joanne is 66 years old and lives in South Carolina. She retired 4 years ago from 30 years as a hospital administrator, and when she did, she made herself a promise. She would take care of her body the way she never quite had time to before. She started walking. 40 minutes every morning, the same route, rain or shine. She bought good shoes. She tracked her steps. She was proud of the habit in the way you're proud of something built from pure intention. For the first year, it felt like everything was working. But somewhere in the second year, something shifted. So gradually, she almost missed it entirely. Getting up from the couch required slightly more deliberation than it used to. The stairs at her daughter's house started producing a mild fatigue in her thighs that hadn't been there before. And her morning walks felt harder at the end than they used to, even though she was doing exactly the same route at exactly the same pace. She told herself it was age. She told herself 40 minutes every day was more than most people her age were doing. She kept walking. The third year, her neighbor Janet, who had known Joanne for 11 years, watched her get out of a car in the driveway and said something unexpected. "Joanne, are you okay?" "You're moving differently." Joanne stopped. "What do you mean?" "You're holding the door when you get out." "You didn't used to do that." Joanne thought about it and realized Janet was right. She had started holding the car door without noticing. The way you develop a habit without deciding to, because your body found it necessary and your mind simply accommodated. She hadn't decided her legs needed the door. Her legs had simply started asking for it. Here is what was happening inside Joanne's legs during those 3 years of faithful morning walks, and why the walks, as valuable as they were, couldn't stop it. Your leg muscles are composed of 2 primary types of fiber. Type I fibers, slow twitch, power, sustained, rhythmic, low-intensity activity like walking. They respond well to consistent aerobic exercise. Type 2 fibers, fast twitch, are responsible for explosive, high-force movements, standing up quickly, catching yourself when you trip, climbing stairs with confidence. They are the fibers that make your legs feel reliable and strong. After 60, type 2 fibers decline at a rate significantly faster than type 1. This is called sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and function, and here is the detail most people never hear. Type 2 fibers do not respond meaningfully to walking. They respond to resistance, to being asked to produce force against load. Without that stimulus, they atrophy. They shrink at approximately 3 to 5% per decade after 60, faster if not actively stimulated. Joanne's type 1 fibers were being maintained beautifully by her morning walks. Her cardiovascular health was excellent. But her type 2 fibers, the ones determining whether her legs felt strong and trustworthy, were declining silently alongside her faithful walk because the walk was never asking them to do anything. A 2021 study in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia and Muscle found that adults over 60 who engaged in regular aerobic exercise but no resistance training showed type 2 fiber atrophy rates statistically similar to sedentary adults, with measurable consequences in stair climbing, chair rise performance, and fall risk within 3 to 5 years. Similar to sedentary adults, Joanne had been walking for 3 years. Her type 2 fibers had been declining as if she hadn't been. Joanne made the appointment after Janet's comment. Her doctor listened and referred her to a physical therapist for a functional assessment. The physical therapist, Dr. Reeves, performed simple tests: sit-to-stand speed, single-leg balance, stair climb with timing. At the end, she said something that reorganized everything Joanne understood about her own fitness. Your cardiovascular endurance is genuinely good. The walking has done exactly what it was supposed to do. But your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones that make your legs feel strong and responsive rather than just functional, those haven't been stimulated. They've been declining while you walk. Joanne stared at her. But I walk 40 minutes every day. I know, and that matters. But walking keeps what walking builds. It doesn't build what resistance training builds. And you've never done resistance training. Joanne was quiet. So what do I do? Dr. Reeves smiled. You keep walking. And you add 3 things. 3 targeted additions to her existing routine, designed to stimulate type 2 fiber recruitment and reverse the decline that 3 years of walking had been unable to prevent. The first was sit-to-stand, performed with intention, not just necessity. 10 deliberate repetitions from a firm chair without using her hands, as quickly as she could safely manage while maintaining control. Speed was essential. Fast twitch fibers are recruited by the demand for rapid force production. Slow sit-to-stands don't reach them. Fast, controlled ones do. 3 sets of 10 every morning after her walk. Within 2 weeks, the couch required less deliberation. Within 4 weeks, her daughter's stairs felt more available, less negotiated. The second was step-ups on her own bottom stair. 1 foot on the step, pressing through the heel to drive herself upward, then lowering slowly and with control. The lowering, the eccentric portion, was where Dr. Reeves said much of the type 2 stimulus lived. 20 repetitions per leg, 3 times per week. The staircase already in her house, now being used as equipment she'd never thought to need. The third was single leg balance, 30 seconds per leg, eyes open first, then progressing to eyes closed. This targeted neuromuscular communication, the conversation between brain and leg muscles that determines whether she catches herself before a fall or after one. Standing behind her kitchen counter, hand available but not resting, every day. 3 additions. No gym. 15 extra minutes after her existing walk. By month 3, Janet watched Joanne get out of the car in the driveway and said nothing. Because Joanne got out the way she used to, without holding the door, without the beat of deliberation, without the small accommodations that had accumulated so quietly neither of them had noticed until they were gone. 3 additions to whatever movement you already do, starting tomorrow morning. Sit to stand, 10 repetitions, as fast as you can safely control, from a firm chair without using your hands. 3 sets. Immediately after your morning walk or activity. This is the single most accessible type 2 fiber stimulus available to you without equipment. Step-ups. 20 repetitions per leg on your bottom stair, pressing through the heel going up, lowering slowly and with control coming down. 3 times per week. The staircase you already have is the gym you didn't know you needed. Single leg balance, 30 seconds per leg, eyes open for the first 2 weeks, eyes closed after that. At your kitchen counter, hand available but not resting. Every day. The neuromuscular conversation your legs need to catch you before the fall, not after. 3 things, 15 minutes. Added to whatever you already do, not replacing it. Because the walk matters, and now the walk has what it was always missing. Joanne told me something about the morning she noticed the change. She said, "I got up from the couch, just normally, just to get a glass of water, and I realized halfway to the kitchen that I hadn't thought about it. I just stood up, the way I used to, and I stopped in the middle of the living room and thought, that's what I lost. That's exactly what I lost, the standing up without thinking about it. And that's what came back, the standing up without thinking about it. That is what sarcopenia takes, not dramatically, not in a single moment, but in the accumulation of small deliberations that replace what used to be automatic. The door you start holding, the stairs you start counting, the couch you start preparing for. Joanne walked every day for 3 years. She did everything right by the standards she knew. And what she didn't know, what nobody told her, was that walking and strength are built by different tools. That the legs she wanted required something walking alone could never give her. She kept walking. She added 3 things, and the standing up without thinking came back. If this felt like your story, the walking that isn't working the way it used to, the strength that keeps declining despite the effort, don't scroll away. Leave a comment, 2 or 3 words. Tell me what your legs have stopped doing that they used to do without thinking. Because someone will read your words today who has been making the same quiet accommodations. And your words might be the moment they finally understand why. Hit the like button if Joanne's story reached you. And subscribe to Strong Legs, Independent Life, every Tuesday and Saturday at 11 a.m. Because doing everything right isn't always enough. Sometimes you just need to know what right actually requires. Keep smiling, keep moving, and never forget, You've got this.